Hey lady, welcome to the Postpartum on Purpose podcast. If we haven't met, my name is Anne Marie. I'm wife to James and mom to 5 beautiful kids ages 9 and under with 1 miscarried baby. Here we see postpartum, all the way from birth to the first year of life, as a time of grit, growth, and grace. This is episode 70. Hi lady, I hope you are so well. As I am recording this, we are 1 week and a day away from Thanksgiving. If you are listening in real time or close to real time, there will not be an episode next week because we'll be preparing to host a portion of my family. There will be somewhere between 16 and 18 of us, depending on if a lady from church and her son are able to join us or not. But next week will be off in preparation for that, just trying to be present to the needs of the moment and of the day and of the week. Let's start out with free things as we do. The purpose of free things, if you're new here, is twofold. One, to remember that no matter how big our family grows and how limited or expansive our budget may be, it is always possible to live a beautiful, rich, meaningful life. And that part of living that beautiful, rich, meaningful life is being grateful for the things that are in front of us. And this is just a small, tangible way, keeping track of free things from 1 week to the next, that I try to practice gratitude for the beautiful, rich, meaningful life that we are privileged to live. In no particular order, I got an email from Panera, you know where this is going, that I have a free bakery treat. And I'm so excited to enjoy that. Probably tomorrow that's going to happen. I just got the email, I don't know, maybe yesterday or today. Somehow they still have not caught on that I'm not actually paying any money to go there. I'm not actually paying anything. They're not obligated to do this. They're just, so thank you. Thank you. I look forward to that. And on the same lines of Panera, we also received a boxed lunch last Saturday night from Panera as well. And here's why. My husband was called by a buddy who he got into hunting in the last year, and he shot a deer for the first time, and he was trying to follow the blood trail so that he could find the deer. As it turned out, the deer was not hit in a spot that would be fatal, and they figured that out because the blood trail stopped. He or she will recover and go on to live another day. But my husband went out to try to help find this deer, and it took several hours. But the beautiful thing was that not only was he helping this friend, but 2 other guys who had not really known that guy previously, the man who shot, they didn't really know him previously, but they all met each other through this deer camp my husband had organized the week before. And they showed up in the evening, at night, for 2.5 hours to help this guy. I just thought that was such an incredible, beautiful example of brotherhood. It really touched my heart. I didn't care that my husband got home after 10 that night. It didn't matter to me one whit because of the beauty of the brotherhood that he was able to experience with these men. But one of them brought with him, and I don't know how it came into his possession, but he brought with him several boxed lunches from Panera, which means a hefty sandwich and chips and a cookie. And that was my lunch on Sunday. Panera has really come through for us this week. And then something else is that we had free admission to a local museum today, local by which I mean 25 minutes away. And I took my kids. And you know what? Everybody acted age appropriately. Was there a little bit of whining? Yeah. Was there some not listening? You bet. Was there running in the opposite direction from me? Yeah, of course, all of those things. But was any of it out of proportion with the developmental ages of my children? Nope, none of it was. They did really well. I was really pleased. I told them they did such a good job behaving that we do this again sometime. In parentheses, I meant next time there's a free admission to a museum. But that was good. That was really good. And the last thing was that Miss Anne, who lives next door, she's somewhere between 85 and 87, and I actually don't really know anymore. But we got to know her really pretty well, especially when she actually had an injury. She broke her leg, I think. This is several years back now, and I would go over there every day just to check on her. And we just got to know her. We got to know her well through that. Occasionally, she will show up on our doorstep with something. This past week, it was half a bag of Caesar salad kit, and then half of a box of Pepper Ridge Farms assorted Italian cookies. Marvelous. Love it. That's so kind. She said, "Do you want me to stop doing this?" No. No, definitely not. I think those are all the free things this week. I think that was it. And then the one small change. Something that is beautiful is that sometimes A bigger change comes from a little change. And if we just initiate the first little change, then the bigger change comes after that. And here's what I mean by that. We have had a changing table in a box, by which I mean not set up, for months now, many months, that somebody gave to us. And my husband was the one who set it up, which is great because it would not be set up if I were the one trying to do that. But I hadn't really pushed it, and he had not gotten to it just in the manner of things. But then last weekend, I said, could you please put that together? And he put that together. And I'll tell you what, it was put together not in the room that it was going into, because we had an older changing table with real sticky drawer, and it's just getting a little bit older. But that act of him setting it up trickled and triggered a whole rearrangement of our living room, and it looks really nice now. We took the old changing table out of the little boy's room, and it is now serving as it's not a bar cart because there's no alcohol in it, but do you know what I'm saying? Like that style. There's little potted plants on the top and a tray with some miniature gourds in it for Thanksgiving. And then all the kids' board books are they're very aesthetically pleasing the way that they're stacked, which is just absurd. But there's that. And then we rearranged things such that my husband said, now it looks like a hotel. And I looked at him and he clarified quickly, not a Motel 8, a fancy motel or a fancy hotel. And when I looked at it again, kind of, you know how you cock your head a little bit to the side to observe something sometimes, you're like, yeah, it really does. I'm really happy with how this looks. I had hoped that maybe before we hosted Thanksgiving, the living room would be painted. But again, we are on his time with that because he is the one doing the painting for me. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I actually don't care right now if it happens before or after Thanksgiving, because I just think the whole flow and the whole flow of the room has shifted. And it just started with him me asking him to do something and him agreeing to do it. And I think it took maybe half an hour, maybe less. I don't know what that might look like in your life, but just a reminder that sometimes it's a little thing that we change, and then we have the vision to see something bigger. All right. Let's talk briefly about holiday prep. I have 3 thoughts in my head as we were approaching Thanksgiving, but then, of course, a month or so after that, we were approaching Christmas. During this time, whether you're postpartum or not, during this time, there are 3 realities, I think. And one is that there are increased commitments, generally speaking. There are more things happening or things that only happen at this time of year. And there may be a fair amount of them. 2, there are oftentimes, along with or coinciding with that, increased stressful interactions potentially. And stereotypically this happens with Thanksgiving, but it could be anything related to family in particular, I would say family of origin and or in-laws, etc., between now and Christmas. So we have, on the one hand, we have increased commitments, right? And then again, we also have stressful interactions, increased amount of those potentially. And then as we understand in my faith background, at least in the Catholic tradition, Advent is a time of preparation for Christmas, where we are attempting to enter into this sense of already and not yet. Christmas has already happened, of course. Jesus has already been born. We already have that. And yet we continue to prepare because we recognize that we are ultimately preparing to spend eternity with him forever someday. And we have no idea whether someday is tomorrow or 50 years from now. But in the already and not yet, Advent through that lens can be like a mini Lent, not where we're doing fasting per se to that extent, but mini in terms of in the spirit of penitence, and the spirit of penitence, in how can I enter in, Lord, to become aware of the ache in my own heart for you and for your presence. And rather than filling it with, of course, I'm speaking for a friend here and not myself, but rather than filling it with sweets, just as an example, rather than filling it with sweets or whatever, fill in the blank for you. How can I enter into this ache that is in my heart for you, offering something up, doing something extra, what have you? All right, those are the 3 things that we are experiencing generally at this time of year. Let's talk very briefly about increased commitments. I want to keep things so simple. If you want to read a whole book about how to simplify your commitments and measure and weigh things and decide what's important to you and all of that. The Lazy Genius Way, which if I've mentioned it once, I've mentioned it a bazillion times on these 70 episodes of the podcast so far. The Lazy Genius Way does such a good job of systematically laying out how to do this. But I'm just simply going to propose for your consideration here right now, asking yourself, what do I really want? What do I really want to happen in the next month-ish, 30, 35 days, right? And of course you could say, well, Anne-Marie, Christmas season doesn't end. There's a whole Christmas season afterwards. Yes, of course, totally understand that. But most of us are experiencing the bulk of the increased stressful interactions, increased commitments during the in-between, not as much after in the Christmas season. That's why I'm specifically addressing this time. I am not saying the Christmas ends on Christmas or that you have to stop listening to Christmas music on December 25th. That's not what I'm saying. But if you could ask yourself, what do I really want in these next 35 days, and actually to write those things out. I was doing that last night or the night before, and I started to realize I had quite a sizable list of things that I was expecting were going to happen. A lot of them are things that we do every year. We make a little Christmas CD for friends and family of my kids either playing a little song or singing something or reading a poem aloud, what have you. But it's a tradition that was started in my family growing up by my older brother. And I found it to be so meaningful, and no other people loved receiving it, that we are doing it now in my family with my children. But that's just one example. Then there were things like buying a Christmas tree and designing the Christmas cards online and addressing those Christmas cards to be mailed out. And it got to be quite a long list. And it was helpful for me to recognize these are the expectations that I am placing on myself, so that having put them on paper, I could have a bit of space from them, a bit of detachment, and ask myself, is this really important to me? Is this crucial? And I would simply offer for your consideration that not everything has to be. And of course you know that, right? You are smart. You're a big girl. You're a big girl. You know that. But if you could look at almost everything about the Advent season as a negotiable and decide for yourself, do I really want this to happen? And consider that maybe not everything you do want to happen, even if it's something that's a tradition for you. But you might be saying, well, what about if it's something that's not that important to me, but for my kid it is? I want to offer this meaningful experience to my kid. I don't love it, but he or she or they does. Okay. Is there any way you could modify it such that it works in your current postpartum season? As an example, after Mass on Sunday at the pancake breakfast that the children's religious education program put on to pay for buying things for the Angel Street children in our local area. The choir director came up to me after Mass, and several years back now, but I used to sing with them for holidays only, not every Sunday, because I wanted to be sitting in the pews with my husband just to be with my family, but also to help him so he's not sitting there by himself trying to wrangle our small children. But once upon a time, I did sing on holidays with the choir. And the choir director came up to me and said, I would love to have you and my almost 8-year-old daughter, I would love to have you guys sing with us for Christmas Eve. Can you do that? And at first I said, I need to talk to my husband and I'll get back to you. And I am going to get back to her on Sunday. But as I was writing out this list of things that I was planning to do between now and Christmas. And then I actually wrote a line item for my husband going deer hunting, which to be frank, I have never done before. But once I remembered and recognized this is deer hunting season 2, I need to write that down. Now, can we have conversations about how often he goes and that sort of, yeah, of course, yes, we can. But I needed to write down that that is an expectation that an important member of the decision-making team that is my husband and I, that's a priority for him. And if I'm omitting that, there will be increased stress on me because I did that, because I omitted it. But as I wrote down this list and I included on it that my husband will be going deer hunting sometimes during this season, it made less and less sense to me to go to Wednesday night practices for the next 4 to 5 weeks for that purpose. But what I would love is for my daughter to be able to participate. And then another thing too is she's still in her occupational therapy for ADHD, and I don't think she has the capacity right now to sit through hour-long choir practices in a way that's respectful. But I'm going to ask the choir director, would it be possible for she and I to sing one song with the choir? Because I know that her little heart would just about burst if she could do that. And I feel confident that she would be able to be respectful in her behavior for one song. And I had even asked the choir director, do you by chance know Once in Royal David City? That's a song that we did last year for the CD. She sang it throughout the year. I know she loves it. I know she knows it. That's what I'm going to ask. That's an example of it's something that doesn't honestly matter that much to me, but I know it would be very meaningful to my daughter. And I know the choir director would like to have additional voices. This is modification that I'm able to offer in this season. That's point one. Increase commitments during this time. Just simply asking yourself, what do I really want to happen? Writing it down, either on paper, in your phone, whatever way works for you, and taking a good long look at it to see what can I cut? What really do I want to keep? Because I said this several episodes back, but we do get tired doing the things we love for the people we love. I'm not proposing that you not become tired. That's actually not what I'm saying. I am proposing that you try to be tired, to become tired by the things that are meaningful to you as opposed to things that are not. That's what I'm saying. All right. Number 2, stressful interactions with family members. And this actually can bleed into the conversation on number 3, which is meaningful Advent resolutions. I know this can be a hard time of year. It can be a hard time of year because of relationships that have gone south, and none of us is immune to saying or doing stupid things. And even if somebody else is stupid, sometimes our response to them is equally stupid. Same here. This time of year, if you are also postpartum on top of that, and like I mentioned in the last episode, episode 69, if you are around that 4, 5, 6, 7 month mark where maternity leave is in the rearview mirror, in whatever capacity you had it in the first place. But if you are breastfeeding and your cycles have not returned, your hormones are still low. You are approaching a more stressful time of year without some of the resources, so to speak, the hormonal resources that you would typically have if you were not postpartum. Being aware of that, and combining that with a desire to have a meaningful Advent resolution, which avoids, and I thought this was so cleverly worded in an email that I received this morning from a homeschool something. But the lady talked about pursuing Advent resolutions that don't come from a place of panic or punishment. Pursuing Advent resolutions that don't come from a place of panic or punishment. I don't know what your Advent might look like, but there's a prayer that I wanted to pray with you just to close out this episode. And it's actually going to be, there's a book length retreat based on this prayer. That's going to be my read during Advent. I am not an influencer. I have no code for you, no discount code. I'm not even saying you need to get this and it'd be your Advent devotional too. There are tons of Advent devotionals out there. This book that I am going to be reading during Advent is a reread for me, and it's not specific to Advent. But I think it will help to get close to what God is asking of me, to help me open my heart and accept the ache rather than trying to fill it. That's why I'm using it. And the book is called Jesus, I Trust in You, a 30-day personal retreat with the Litany of Trust. And it's written by Sister Faustina Maria Pia, which if you're not familiar, she is a member of the Sisters of Life. And she wrote this beautiful prayer, the Litany of Trust. But her book, Jesus, I Trust in You, is 30 days of reflection on it. And I first read it several years ago when it came out. It was beautiful. And the line that I took from it that was so comforting to me then, but is even more comforting to me now because I've experienced the truth of it in such a profoundly beautiful way, is there are no locks on the doors of your inner prison. And when I first read that, I was unknowingly struggling very hard with OCD. And I did feel myself to be in an inner prison, very, very much so. But the thought that there were no locks on it, that line has come back to me over and over and over again. There are a couple of quotes from that book that I want to share here, and then I simply want to pray it and have you pray along with me, and that will be the end of this episode. I don't know what it will lead to for you, but I think that to the extent that we can make time for prayer during Advent, we open ourselves up to so very much that the Lord is offering to us. And of course, some of what he is offering to us is the joy and the merriment and the beauty of seeing the wonder in our children's eyes, on their faces, all of that. I am not at all excluding the glitz, but especially in light of the already and not yet, living in light of eternity, this prayer, I think, and the reflections in this book can help us to keep sight of the need for both trust in the Lord and mercy, and to accept his mercy in our hearts so that we can extend it then to other people. The first thing that I wanted to share with you is a quote, and she's talked about how the Lord asks us to trust in his mercy. And here's the little section. When we think of mercy, we may cringe a little. We may not want to receive mercy because we do not want to be the one in need of mercy. And we may not want to give mercy because we do not desire or have the strength to love another who has wronged us. Mercy can be hard to receive and hard to give. And then another quote later on, this is the second one. She quotes the former Pope Benedict XVI, who said, "Man comes in the profoundest sense to himself, not through what he does, but through what he accepts. And one cannot become wholly man in any other way than by being loved, by letting oneself be loved." And I received an email from Claire Dwyer, I think, with Even the Sparrows. I believe that's her website. She is a big friend of St. Elizabeth of the Trinity, and her big quote is, "Let yourself be loved as well." I don't know what it might look like for you to allow yourself to be loved this Advent in order to then be open to loving others, even those who have wounded you, even those with whom it's stressful to be in contact. And I say the word contact loosely. Perhaps you cannot be in contact in person, but here's the prayer. After each line, the response is, "Deliver me, Jesus." And then on the back, there's a little bit different one, but I'll tell you that when it comes time. From the belief that I have to earn your love, deliver me, Jesus. From the fear that I am unlovable, deliver me, Jesus. From the false security that I have what it takes, deliver me, Jesus. From the fear that trusting you will leave me more destitute, deliver me, Jesus. From all suspicion of your words and promises, deliver me, Jesus. From the rebellion against childlike dependency on you, deliver me, Jesus. From refusals and reluctances in accepting your will, deliver me, Jesus. From anxiety about the future, deliver me, Jesus. From resentment or excessive preoccupation with the past, deliver me, Jesus. From restless self-seeking in the present moment, deliver me, Jesus. From disbelief in your love and presence, deliver me, Jesus. From the fear of being asked to give more than I have, deliver me, Jesus. From the belief that my life has no meaning or worth, deliver me, Jesus. From the fear of what love demands, deliver me, Jesus. From discouragement, deliver me, Jesus. And for this last little bit, the response is, Jesus, I trust in you. That you are continually holding me, sustaining me, loving me. Jesus, I trust in you. That your love goes deeper than my sins and failings and transforms me. Jesus, I trust in you. That not knowing what tomorrow brings is an invitation to lean on you. Jesus, I trust in you. That you are with me in my suffering. Jesus, I trust in you. That my suffering united to your own will bear fruit in this life and the next. Jesus, I trust in you. That you will not leave me orphan, that you are present in your church. Jesus, I trust in you. That your plan is better than anything else. Jesus, I trust in you. That you always hear me, and in your goodness always respond to me. Jesus, I trust in you. That you give me the grace to accept forgiveness and to forgive others. Jesus, I trust in you. That you give me all the strength I need for what is asked. Jesus, I trust in you. That my life is a gift. Jesus, I trust in you. That you will teach me to trust you. Jesus, I trust in you. That you are my Lord and my God. Jesus, I trust in you. That I am your beloved one. Jesus, I trust in you. I hope you have a beautiful Thanksgiving, lady, and I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.